You're about to open a window into the life of a ghost hunter. We'll show you dark, creepy roads that fade into the night. We'll show you haunted places, but most importantly, we'll show you what happens along the way there.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Linda.
And here we are in North Carolina. We just crossed over the border, and interestingly enough, we found a place called Border Station where, if they're still open, we're going to stop in there and check it out.
Oh, they're open.
Because they look open, and I think they have some pretty cool things in there, so we'll have to take a look. But we're on our way down to an investigation, a residential investigation down in North Carolina, and I'm not sure what the details of the investigation are, if we're going to be able to record it or not. Sometimes the people want it kept private, sometimes we can't release anything, but we'll try to give you as much of an update as we can, and if we are allowed to record the investigation, of course we will, and that will be in this video as well. But we've got an interesting weekend ahead, because after tonight, once we trek back up to Virginia, tomorrow we're gonna talk to a guy about UFOs as part of a international UFO documentary.
Yeah.
And then we are going out to Old House Woods in Gloucester, Virginia, one of our favorite places where there's been a lot of crazy things that have happened.
Right.
And, we're going to check that out again, revisit it.
Right.
And see what happens, see if there's anything new. But right now, let's go in here and check out Border Station. I also have a Zero Subs and Pizza attached to it.
Yeah, which we just ate, so we're not gonna touch that.
Absolutely, but nonetheless. So what do you think?
I think it's a pretty cool place. There's lots of stuff in here.
Yeah,
lots of
cool stuff.
Yeah,
Souvenirs
much bigger
and
than it
everything.
looked.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they got some interesting things over here in the redneck section, per se, if you will.
I guess that's what you call it.
I'm not sure, but right here, this was a cool one, right?
Yeah.
The bald man's brush. That's got
And
no brush on it.
bald man's comb
Right.
to go with it.
So, and a redneck dog toy.
Right.
I do like that.
Coffee mug, which is actually pretty cute. I rather like this.
That is
It
neat.
wouldn't hold much coffee though. It wouldn't be appropriate for a ghost hunter.
Right, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Probably
like a
more
shot.
for liquor or something like
Yeah.
that. Now, nonetheless, the restrooms are behind us, lit up, of course. And then over there, they have a bunch of fishing poles and quite a mixed match of stuff here, huh? Is it not?
Yes, it is quite a mishmash. Strange things. You know, all kinds of little toys and little knickknacks, home decor. They've got, of course, you know, your typical t-shirts and hats and things of that nature. But I think Alex would really like this.
Oh, yeah.
She's really into mermaids.
Yeah, $4.99.
Yeah.
Found some cool shirts, huh? I like this one. It says Border Station, 2 states, 1 store, because it's on the border, Virginia, North Carolina.
Yeah, they have some.
And of course, some Outer Banks shirts and stuff.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. As for the bathrooms, I have to say they were probably not as clean as they could have been. Now, that being said, everything functioned really well.
Yeah, it did.
The water was like extremely hot coming out of the faucet. They were self-flushing toilets, so I didn't have to touch it. The only thing was it had one of those little slide latches to get out of the stall.
Yeah.
And I kind of like used my elbow. But other than that, I mean, everything worked great. Even the paper towel dispenser, you put your hands under there, and it's like, bring some out immediately. So,
good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and behind me there, you're not mistaken, that is the furniture section. They sell furniture. It seems to be more outdoors type of furniture, but
It
furniture
is.
nonetheless.
Yeah, some nice looking furniture. It's
Absolutely,
comfy. Yeah.
absolutely. Very beachy type
Yeah.
atmosphere. And of course, over here we got some fireworks.
Fireworks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And look, fireworks behind you as well.
Look at that. A whole wall of fireworks.
Yeah.
It's a plethora of fireworks, if you will.
Sure
So
is.
this is an interesting thing we just learned. That Welcome to North Carolina sign
that right
behind
there?
us here, that's actually North Carolina over there.
On that side of the store.
Yeah, so this half of the store is in Virginia,
Right.
and that half of the store is in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So there's two different registers.
Yeah.
So if you buy at that register, you pay North Carolina tax, and if you
Right.
buy at this register, you pay Virginia tax.
Yeah, see, this is the gas station side of it.
Right.
You pay for gas over here, but then you pay for cigarettes and lottery tickets over there. So, kind
Right.
of weird.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Welcome to North Carolina.
So we do have some unique coffee over here, the OBX, which stands for Outer Banks, for those of you who don't know.
Yes, yes.
House blend,
Yes.
dark roast.
I think I'm going to try the house blend. The dark roast has a little bit less caffeine in it than the house blend does. Just by nature, dark roasts do.
Right.
So I think I'll go with the house blend and see how that is.
All right, let's take a look at the texture just coming out there.
It feels pretty hot to the touch.
Dare I say piping hot?
Might be piping hot. It's pretty warm through this paper cup.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Border Station right here on the border of Virginia and North Carolina. And now we're going to get back on the road deeper into North Carolina and drink some of this Outer Banks house blend.
Yes.
And
See what that's like.
I got to say, it's very aromatic.
It
if
is.
I dare say.
It is.
So-
And it's quite hot. I mean, through the paper cup, it's like...
It is.
It's hot.
Very hot.
Maybe a little too hot to drink right this second.
Maybe. Yeah, a little bit, but
He just lost the top layer of his tongue.
yeah. Where we are right now, this place was in the family since 1997, and strange activity has been happening ever since. Started out as a vacation home, and now the people live here regularly. So right over here we have the daughter's bed. This is where the daughter sleeps, and she has been interacting with some kind of an entity. She has seen a dark figure, very small, that has appeared on the floor and shot up to the ceiling. What we did over here is we have placed a thermal pad on the bed there to see if anything leaves an imprint on it, and we're just going to kind of check back with that and monitor it. Over here in this center bedroom right here, or the last bedroom I should say, is where there's also the adults that live here have seen a dark entity right here in this doorway, almost right next to the bed here, and they said they get very strange feelings from this room. Now, going back years ago, when the client was in middle school, the sister was in the living room, and she heard what sounded like a full-blown fight going on in here, arguments, yelling, pictures being knocked off the wall, glass breaking, to the point where she called the cops, and the cops came and there was nobody in here, no explanation for it. Now, they sleep over here in this room, and one night the daughter was in here talking to an entity. She yelled for them to come, and they came running in here. They heard her yell, "Mommy," came running in here, where you can see how close the distance is, and the daughter was sound asleep in the bed. She had never even yelled it out. Now, also, if we look over here in the dining room, there's the feeling of someone sitting in the chair that's to the far left that has the arms on it, and there's a strange feeling that several of the residents get, that when they're here, and especially in the middle of the night and such, that someone is sitting in that chair. So another strange thing, they've heard the front door open and close. I believe they said kitchen drawers would open and close, and they always hear footsteps in the hall. Just last night they were woken up to footsteps coming down this hallway several times, and this hallway, it goes into a back bedroom that is not used at the time because the ceiling is caved in, as you can see. And interestingly enough, the people that lived here prior to the family that lives here now, they sold it to the grandparents of the client in 1997, and several of their belongings are still here in the house. The gentleman had died. They believe he died here in the house, but they can't find much information on it. So the lady, as she grew older, the children came and moved her out of the house and pretty much just took her clothes. So the current residents are not sure what is still belonging to her. They believe this dresser, which is behind this headboard, is original to the house. Several of the mirrors, several things that could hold a spiritual attachment as well.
So one thing that we did notice is on the EMF sweep, when we were going through the house taking the baseline readings, we noticed that the corner of the room where the child sleeps is actually got a high EMF level. And if you notice, when you get right here above the bed, and then the closer you get to this wall, the worse it gets, or the higher the EMF levels get. Now, the reason for this is because there is a panel box in the utility room just on the other side of this wall. It's located right about here. And you can see that's setting it off a lot. Now, because of the theory that spirits can manifest from high EMF levels, it may be, we suggested, a bad place for the child's bed to be. It may also be sort of dangerous for her health or for her mental state. So we suggested that perhaps they could take and move the bed to another part of the room, because as you can see, once you get out even this far away from that corner, there is no longer high EMF levels here. So good thing maybe moving that bed out of the corner.
Alright, so we're in the bedroom where they have seen the dark entity, where all that noise occurred years ago that they thought a fight was going on in here, pictures getting knocked off the wall. Also, just on the other side of this wall is the living room, and when one of the adults sleeps in this bed, they often hear the pictures scraping back and forth on the wall as if they're being moved. They'll straighten the pictures at night, go out there in the morning, and they'll be crooked again. So we figured this is as good a place as any to start with the spirit box. Linda's going to pop in the headphones. She's not going to hear my questions, and we're going to see if she blurts out any accurate responses. Meanwhile, we're going to keep the EMF detector going down here on the bed to see if we get any spikes on that. I'm Jeff. This is Linda. And we're just here to find out what the source is of some of the noises that have been heard in this room. Some of the things that the people that live here have seen. We'd like to know if there is anybody here with us. Who is it that appears in this room?
All I have to say is,
now please don't be afraid to talk to us. We're here to get some answers. Maybe there's something we could do to help you. If there is, we'd like to know what that is. Could you please tell us your name? Could you please tell us who you are? Could you tell us why you're here? Is there something that you want? Is there something you want us to find?
sounded like go away.
Is there something in this house that you're attached to? Could you tell us what that is? Is there perhaps a person in this house that you're attached to?
Kind of sounded like a screaming.
Can you tell us how long you've been here? How long have you been in this house? We wrapped up our spirit box session here in this bedroom, And one thing we're going to look into is if there was ever an accident involving someone falling out of a tree, if we can find any information about that in this area. Because there were some references that came across the spirit box, and mind you, it could have been radio chatter, but there were some references about a big tree and someone falling. Furthermore, after a little bit of questioning and such, ran the spirit box session probably in here for about 45 minutes. A little farther away, I asked, "Did you fall out of a tree?" And we got the response, "Yes." So I would like to look into that. It could be coincidence, of course, but it also is a possibility that maybe someone had fallen out of the tree. I kept trying to ask questions to try to determine if the tree is still standing, where it's still standing, or where it stood, so we could try to get to that location. It was interesting because I put out my arm as I was sitting here and I said, this is my left, this is my right, straight ahead or back. Tell me which direction to go and how many steps to get to where this tree stands or stood. And I didn't get any immediate response, but a couple minutes later it did come across and say to your left side, which I thought was interesting. But it didn't tell me how far, it didn't tell me where, and I couldn't get any response as to if the tree is still there, or if this was before the house was built or not. So some interesting things we're going to have to look into. But we're going to move on to the next area of the house and try again there and see if we can pick up any activity.
So we're in the next bedroom, the one where the client currently sleeps, and we're going to sit down and do an EVP session and see if we get any responses.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Linda.
And we don't mean to impose, we don't mean to be her unwanted by any means, but we'd like to know what is the source of the noises and some of the figures that have been seen around the house here. The family that lives here, they're not really sure what they are or who it is. Is there anybody here with us right now?
We want you to know you don't have to be afraid of us. We're not here to harm you. We just want to try to help this family understand things that are happening in the house that they can't understand, or that they haven't been able to figure out the source of.
Could you tell us your name, please? We'd really like to know some more about you. What was your occupation?
Were you buried on the property? If so, where?
Is there something in this house that attracts you?
So Jeff is going to put in the earbuds this time and listen to the spirit box session while I ask the questions. As we've said before, my name is Linda, and this is Jeff, and we don't mean you any harm. We simply want to find out who you are. Can you tell us maybe your name? Why do you stay on this property? Where are you standing right now? Can you tell us where you are? That right there. So we'd like to know if there's anyone here with us. We have a black box with a red light on it on the floor. If you speak, that box may be able to record your voice.
I'm Jeff,
I'm Linda.
and we'd like to know who was in here the other night. Who was it that was walking up and down the hallway?
Why do you walk up and down the hallway?
We have this little pad here on the bed, and if you can touch it, perhaps it will show your handprint. Can you touch that pad for us? Can you tell us why you're around here? Can you tell us why you come into this room?
Does somebody or something want to harm the family? Who is the dark figure that's seen inside the house?
So what do you got there?
Something you don't see every day. This is a Trump troll.
Nice.
Look at the hair.
That's pretty good right there.
Yeah.
So we wrapped up the investigation down here in North Carolina, and the last room we're in was a little quiet, so we did an EVP session, and we got a lot to review to see what's there. But we stopped off at a 7-Eleven, and I picked up something interesting here that I've had before, and this is the haunted ghost pepper chip right here. Now, what is interesting about this particular bag is you can find your hidden code and enter to win the world's hottest chip.
Ooh.
Which is, it's a chip similar to these ones, and I guess it comes in a little package like that on the back, and it's made with, it's called Carolina Reaper Madness.
Oh,
so it's made,
yeah.
it's a chip that's made with Carolina Reaper seasoning.
Man.
So, me being a connoisseur of hot sauce, I would love to win that chip. And what it says, if you dare, you could win, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Pakis? Hashtag one chip challenge made with the world's hottest pepper, the Carolina Reaper. Subjects can expect short-term loss of speech, followed by extreme profanity, enhanced sinus functions, and impaired vision from heat-induced tears. Can you handle the heat? I definitely want to enter to win that.
Yeah, I think you could handle it.
I would like to try it.
Yeah.
But as I remember, these things were pretty hot themselves here, so gotta eat them sparingly.
Those look pretty hard and crunchy too. That did not look pleasant. Not just because of the heat, but because of the crunch factor. You just cut up the inside of your mouth. I just got the regular nachos. Although I do have to say they had some sort of a, they called them chili pie nachos, and it's more like a corn chip, like a Fritos corn chip. than it is the regular tortilla chips that they have. But amazing as usual. I love their nachos. And that place was fully stocked. I mean, it is like, what, 2 o'clock in the morning? And they had all kinds of food in there. It was amazing. And it's odd to walk into a 7-Eleven at this hour, and actually they have like hot dogs and stuff, which I think is what Jeff got.
I did, and I got a hot dog that I can't seem to open the box on for some reason. But I put a little bit of toppings on there. I put some chili, cheese, jalapenos, some tomatoes, and some onions, so it's somewhat healthy. And you can also get 7-Eleven rewards points now. They got these cards that you can link it to your app and get awards. So pretty cool stuff. So here we are down at the Pocosin Public Library the next morning. Stuff falling out of the back of the trunk as I open it up. But what we're doing is we brought all our equipment, ghost hunting and otherwise, UFO stuff that we use for UFOs, and we're going to be, like I said, participating in a documentary. From what the gentleman told me, it's going to be mostly about UFOs, but we brought some other stuff also just in case. So we're going to go in here. We got a private room at the library here, and we're going to set up some of the equipment and see what kind of questions we got to answer. So what do you got over there, Linda?
So I have this telescope that's been in the closet for quite a while now, but this is one that you have a hand control, like a little remote control that plugs into this thing. And when you plug it into the computer, you can tell the computer software to find a certain feature in the night sky. And when you do that, you can set it to automatically go to that point in the sky. So kind of a nice thing. It's also with the hand control, you can control it to look at things, or you can just manually move it around like you would a normal telescope, and find whatever you're trying to find. Now, UFOs, of course, tend to be kind of elusive and quick, so this might not always be the right thing, but if you do see something in the night sky that's a ways away, it's just one point of light, this gives you the option of being able to look at it through the telescope, see it larger, and to see whether or not it's a planet or a star or something of that nature.
So we have a couple things laid out that we use for all paranormal investigations, and some that we use specifically for investigating claims of extraterrestrials or UFOs. This is a very good book. It's the Investigations Manual, and it has a lot of good stuff in here, from government investigations to how to actually conduct field research and such. This is a report that we've made up that is a field investigation report. It has everything from, it's just a quick report that you fill out when you get there, but you look at any significant structures, airports, anything that's in the area, history of sightings. You mark down the astronomical events or the planetary alignments and the moon phase, a bunch of other stuff that's on here. And this is an interesting thing here. I'd like to point this out, this light meter. We use this for ghost-related investigations as well as UFO investigations. It can mount on a tripod, and when you turn it on, it will tell you what the light levels are. And say you're out in a dark sky in a field, and you can click this button here to record the max light level. So you see what the baseline light level is, and then you can see if there were any flashes. Of course, it only covers a certain area, so you would need a couple of these perhaps for a bigger area, or if it's not as condensed. But you would set this to max, and if a flash of light occurs, it will record that flash of light and let us know the brightest that it's reached while it was monitoring the activity. So a couple things we have out here, and we're just waiting for the gentleman to get here that's going to do the documentary and talk about the equipment and talk about what we do. So we've been waiting a little bit here, and I happened to wander over to the bathroom, which I have to say, one of the stalls was being used, and the one that was open, it had a broken lock on it, so I had to improvise.
Oh.
I had to take my key and stick it in through the, the little latch and into where the broken part was to kind of secure the door so that no one could come in. But I definitely was reminded of the ghost pepper Doritos or ghost pepper chips that I had last night as I was in there. Not as pleasant the next day.
No.
But in spite of that, I found a snack machine, and I got some Hers hot sauce chips and some sour cream and onion chips. So Linda's going to have her choice of one of those. And, you know, we haven't eaten in a little while, like yet today pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's coming up on 2:30 here or so.
Yeah.
So we need to get some chips going, I guess.
Yes.
So we're heading back to the house because we're getting ready to load up for a revisit to Old House Woods. It's a place that we frequented many times, and we've got some interesting activity up there, some interesting results. And we've been contacted by another paranormal investigator who has also had some experiences up there and would like to go check it out. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to take a break from the residentials and the historic sites, and you know, we're going to go out to a pretty cool place. Now, you may not be able to see much on the video because it is very dark, very dense woods.
Pitch black,
but
yes.
we'll make sure you see us at least for what that's worth.
Yeah.
Now, I got to say, the interview was definitely interesting down there in Pocosin. We wrapped up that interview, and it's going to be on international television in Russia and France, I believe. And it's all about UFOs and CIA files and all kinds of stuff like that. Right. So we talked a little bit about how we do UFO investigations and paranormal investigations per se, and the equipment that we use and the methods that we use, and even some personal experiences were shared. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that documentary comes together, because the guy was pretty good, asked some good questions, and it looked like he got some pretty good angles with that camera. I mean, he was on it. But we went up to Gloucester. I met with a gentleman at a comic book store up there, and we talked a little bit about making a comic, perhaps a paranormal comic. So if you've watched the video this far, go ahead and comment below down there and tell us what you think about the idea of a VAPI comic, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah. We're just not sure if people actually buy comics anymore.
Right.
I mean, it takes a lot of time to write a comic, to develop a comic, to develop the story, develop the artwork, and then you turn around and this thing sits on the shelf and doesn't actually sell. Like, we don't have a lot of time on our hands anyways. We certainly don't have time to waste.
Right.
So give us your input about that as well.
Yes,
do people still buy comic books? What sorts of comic books do they buy, if they do? Because we'd be interested in knowing that.
Right. Because, you know, I'm working on another book here, you know, which is, of course, nonfiction, for those of you that believe in ghosts anyway. It's nonfiction, a lot of history and such, but I need to know if, you know, I need to maybe divert some time over to the comic book writing. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let us know what you think. But we're going to keep you informed as the sun, you can see it setting brightly through Linda's window there as we're heading out of Yorktown. Prepare to venture into the night.
Yes.
So here we go. Well, we're going home first, but then we go.
Then venture.
So David showed up in some investigation attire here. David, what do you got?
You know, got some Walmart Gucci clothes here, you know.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. See this? Got a little cat poking out of the pocket. Got a nice little expensive Dollar Tree hat. Nice tie rocking it, you know.
Maybe you'll trigger the Irish spirits up there at Old House Woods.
Maybe. That's why I'm dressed like this.
So we're here at Cookout in Gloucester, and we finally made it up here. And I noticed something going on at the register over here. I think we're gonna have to inquire with Moni as to what it is. What's your take on it so far?
I mean, I don't know. She's getting real awful close to the manager, you know. Like, she had to pull out her ID. And
yeah, I don't know. Let's see if we can kind of easily like pan it over there so you can see her. What is going on over there? There she is. I'm not sure what is going on. But
she's motioning toward us and talking to us. I don't know.
Like a credit card? Did you get declined? Moni, you need a...
Money needs some extra funds.
You need some cash?
Free Moni.
So we thought Moni was involved in a conflict, but I guess she was just promoting the group.
I guess
That's how she goes about it.
I guess so.
Well, they're saying it might be a coyote sound, but I've heard wolves at night, and if that's anything close to that, it doesn't sound like that to me.
Yeah, we had that one.
It's a really high pitch.
So here we are up at Old House Woods, and I think we've got everybody in the shot here. But a very haunted location. A lot of paranormal reports come out of this area, out of these woods, going back over 100 years. And we're up here tonight just to kind of observe, just to kind of do a little stakeout. And we came up here with another team of investigators, and we're always up for a trip up here at Old House Woods. Already a couple creepy things where people have thought they've seen silhouettes, and one of the guys said he saw someone standing when a flash went off, and some strange sounds, some of which could be attributed to the water, also to, you know, natural environmental factors, of course.
Well, one of them was a whistle.
Yeah.
And it did sound like it was coming from over the water, which is strange because one guy said, oh, I think it's a coyote. Well, of course, coyotes aren't going to be out on the boats. So, you know, where's it coming from?
Right.
But it did definitely sound like a whistle.
Right.
Very
There's that
strange.
kick too, right?
Yeah, and then we
Wooden
keep hearing
box or
that
something?
like thump. That sounds like somebody kicking a hollow wooden box
Yeah.
or something.
Now I
out.
do think that thump behind us, you can't see it well, but is marsh grass, and then through that there's like a little runoff of water from the bay out here.
Yeah.
And that water splashes up and it hits against some wood that's laying along there. And there's
Right.
also, not only that, I believe there's actually like the big wooden beams that they use like around gardens and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I think
yeah.
they actually have
Tie
those
rails?
going. Yeah, they have
Yeah.
those tie rails going to a little tunnel that goes under the road for the
Oh, okay.
water. And
Or
I
rail
think,
ties?
yeah,
One or the other.
the railroad ties. Yeah, and I think they
Yeah.
have the. I think that's what the sound is the water splashing up against that.
Yeah.
But could be wrong, of course.
But then again, there could be a pirate ship out there, a wooden pirate ship out there, and the water splashing up against that.
Yeah.
Right, and that's much more rational. Much more rational of a conclusion.
That's one of the far out theories.
Right.
Right
That's a
there,
Moni
yeah.
far out theory right there. Start the theme music.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go.
So, you know, what we're going to do is, while we're out here, I don't know, maybe take a bunch of pictures, of course, a couple recordings, EVP sessions, maybe a spirit box session, maybe wander down the road a piece. I don't know if you can see over behind us there. There's the road, Haven Beach Road, that leads up to where the old house once stood. Not the old house that Old House Wood is named after, before we get a plethora of comments saying, that's not the same old house. It's not. But there was an old house that stood up there a long time ago.
I say we send a few people walking down that road in the dark.
I think
and
that's
see
a good
what we
idea.
see.
Yeah.
I'll go down it.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea
With
at
some
all.
other people.
And I'll see if I have some radios in the car. I may not. If not, you can probably yell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come.
Always work out.
I mean, that's the only
Probably
way
not.
out, so we have to come that way.
Yeah.
Aw,
Yeah.
There you have it.
let your fingers do the walking.
Right, right.
No, but
Here we are walking down Haven Beach Road a little ways. And what are your
Yeah.
thoughts here, Linda? If I can get
It's
this light on
creepy
you
as
here.
usual, and it's cold, but not as cold as it has been on some nights we've been out here. So thank God for that. But we left Moni back in the car by herself, and she didn't want to walk down the road with us for some reason. So you know, she's back there kind of staking it out by herself, and she's probably going to be pretty freaked out. She might die of a heart attack by the time we get back, just from fear. So I don't know. I'm wondering what's going to happen when we return from this trek down the dark road.
I'm not so sure. I mean, I give Moni some credit there. I think she's brave enough to stand sitting down there in the parking lot with the car locked, of course. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but it's pretty brave. Nonetheless, we're walking down here, and it's getting darker as we get away from that light behind us. And pretty eerie, definitely.
And that right there. Probably chasing a coon around the thing. Take a walk out there. See.
Out here. There's nothing for me to eat out here. They're garbage pandas. Trash fans.
No, they only eat chicken eaters.
Yeah.
Walk all the way to the
What do you got there, Josh?
Oh yeah, hell no.
I see the shadow.
Let's take a look. You have it up?
I walk up to that big tree right there. The stars are going.
So
And I'm running back.
Right there on the edge. Living on the edge.
It's
I don't
just like
know
a
really what
just
it
like a
is,
dark
so-
spot or something out there.
Wait a while, I'll take another one and see what we got.
I definitely heard the people talking.
This place is weird, Mike. Weird as hell, yeah. All kinds of weird.
This place is always weird.
Should we go back and see if Moni's still alive?
I hope she is. I don't want to go out tonight.
Well, yeah, I'm sure she's doing all right. I mean, she could call us if anything comes
And
up
she
down
does
there.
have a gun, right?
Yeah, she's got a
Okay.
gun, so she's pretty secure. But what I'm thinking is, we're only right around the corner from where that old house stood, and where there's been
Right.
quite a bit of activity. So perhaps we should progress a little further,
Another house, yeah.
go a little further down the road.
All right.
What do you got there? Point it out
I
to
just caught a red orb. That is, I don't think that's not the light. That's the second time I got that.
Right. I can
see
see
that
that on the side of the road there.
So, I don't know. That's the light. That's the,
See, so there's a
Main-
big difference between that and the light.
and,
And the one
that-
you got there is illuminated.
yeah, that's the second time I got that.
And on the big light picture, you can see the rays coming off of it on that. It's not.
See, there's a blue, whatever that is.
I think it's on your screen.
Yeah, but look at it's one now, and it's a blue one right there.
That's interesting. Can you zoom in on it a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
That's weird.
I know.
And interestingly enough, people see lantern lights in the woods here.
I want to go get it so I can save electric.
No, I'll never.
Yeah?
Walk. I mean, I'll walk.
Why not?
Walk under the bridge and back. That's it.
That's it.
What we just did is
It was
we
a square a second
split
ago.
up and we left 4 people back here at the parking lot, and 5 of us walked down Haven Beach Road and then down Old House Woods Road, which was a pretty eerie walk. But we ran the spirit box a couple times while we were down there, and some interesting things came through. Nothing definite that we could pick up as a word, but we heard what sounded like a woman's voice that came through on a couple occasions. But what was really interesting is off in the distance, a few times we heard what sounded like, would you say, a woman screaming?
Mm-hmm.
Well, couple,
Couple times.
A
2
couple
or 3.
times.
I
Yeah.
heard it once farther down too.
Yeah, and then shortly after that, it got real cloudy and a pretty good fog rolled in. And it's interesting because there's a legend that there's a banshee in this area, and when the banshee yells, it's to warn the fishermen and stuff that are out at sea of an impending storm that's coming in. So it was interesting that we heard this woman yelling. I'm not saying it was definitely a banshee, but it was a definite woman yelling in the woods. We don't know where it was coming from, but shortly after that, it got cloudy.
But when I heard that woman scream, I seen somebody in a white dress
Right.
standing there.
That's right. That's right. At the same time, Josh saw someone off to the right, and he tried to take a picture, but before he could catch it, it was gone. There was nothing there. But it was. What did you see?
Just like a wedding,
Like a quick.
yeah, just a white tank
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, and
almost.
we saw his reaction to that, so we definitely know he saw something standing there, and he stopped to take a picture. But
It was
by
too
the time he
fast.
did, it was gone. It was too fast. The orb.
The orb was the weird thing. The fact that he took a picture going down Haven Beach Road,
Uh-huh.
and it was off on this
The-
side
yeah.
of the swamp grass.
Right.
Coming back, same exact thing, but then you took a series of pictures, and it was
farther-
normal distance away, but it was white. It wasn't orange at all.
Right. Right. So we're not sure what that
Then-
orange orb was.
Yeah, then I took a picture and it was the same way.
Right. Right. Anything else you can think of that was interesting?
Just that normal feeling of being watched every now and then.
Yeah, there's definitely an eerie feeling the whole time you're walking down this road
Cold and hot.
that you're being
Yeah, the
watched.
temperature change.
Temperature
Yeah.
changes. Yeah, so definitely interesting.
This is a very weird place.
Yeah, absolutely. So we stopped here at 7-Eleven in Cobb's Creek without a paddle, but we did get some. Where's everybody at there? There they are.
Yeah, here we are.
We did get some coffee and a donut, and I happen to see an ice machine behind us here. Josh, what do you say? Let's take a picture by the ice machine. You want to?
Yeah.
All right.
So during the investigation, we actually had one room where most of our evidence came out of. And despite the fact that we were doing a spirit box session at the time, we did have the digital voice recorder running at the same time, and we seemed to pick up quite a few EVPs. Now, the most, I guess, discernible ones are the ones that I have stacked up here. The first one came just after we asked, "Who is it that appears in this room?" And this is what we hear. Now you can hear the sort of whispery little voice that comes in here right at the end. I'll play it again for you one more time. Now, to me, the very last part of it sounds like speaking. Now, the first part of it, I can't really tell exactly what it says. It almost sounds like Mrs. Bacon speaking. Of course, Bacon is a last name. It's popular in this area, so I don't know. It could be actually saying that, but I'm not sure. So be sure to tell us what you think. Now, the second one is here, and it's just after we ask, "Is it the land that you're attached to?" And again, you can hear the sort of whispery voice that comes in. But again, it's really hard to tell exactly what it says. So I'll play it one more time here. And it needs to go or needs to get something. And I can't tell exactly what it is. So the next one is a lot like the first one. It's a little bit hard to understand. But it does sound like there's one part of it that we do understand. And I'll play it for you. And let's try it one more time. Now the one thing I can hear is it sounds like a voice starts to come in. I can't understand what the first part says, but then the second part sounds like it says sleeping. So I don't know if this is somebody saying I'm sleeping or what the case is, but certainly again, another very interesting EVP in the midst of a spirit box session. So another one here. The last one that we have here comes just after we asked, "Are you a man or a woman?" So I'll play that one. Now again, a little hard to hear, but you can see right where this larger spike is here is actually where it begins. And the rest of it sounds like such a whisper that it's hard to tell. I tried amplifying it a little bit, but we try not to modify the original sound too much. But just with the amplification and having the headphones on, it sounded as if it might have been saying something like gentlemen or children. So I'm not sure, but certainly any of these, if you have an opinion, certainly let us know what it is.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, another paranormal weekend, if you will, of going to a residential investigation, UFO documentary, and venturing out to Old House Woods, which is always a favorite place of ours. Now, I got to say, while we're at Old House Woods, I didn't see some of the things that people described while we were there, though I really wish I had seen them. Josh said he saw that lady in the white dress. He said he caught a glimpse of her, and I definitely didn't see that, but I really wish I had, because I definitely had never seen anything like that, so that'd be pretty amazing. But it was definitely an interesting weekend and some interesting results that we got through our EVP sessions and our Spirit Box sessions. So thanks for joining us, and please remember to subscribe to our channel, and there's much more Gas, Grub, and Ghost to come.